What's up, folks? Welcome back. Today, I actually want to talk to you guys and really talk to you guys about some thoughts and some brainstorming that I'm doing for an upcoming workshop for Mapp's Black Heritage Hunt. So I'm actually going to be one of the mentors on the hunt this year in California. Super excited to be going back out there. We'll be doing some duck hunting, but of course, I'm brainstorming the presentation that I have to give, to the folks there, and just some thoughts. And it's really on me to discuss what the topic is. So my thing is, well, let me tell you where the thought started. Yesterday, I recorded a podcast on the Sport and Life Notebook podcast, season 2, episode 14, where I was discussing my role as a sportsman, right? And as an outdoors person, as a hunter, as an educator, all of that. And working through like the 5 stages of being a hunter. So go check that episode out if you guys get a chance. And so of course, the thought continued going after I finished recording into like, all right, so I'm talking about roles and responsibilities. I've got this event come up. I've got to brainstorm the topic and send that over. And what is my role and responsibility, right? Like what if I could dive deeper into like that topic, like the weeds of it, what would I actually be talking about? And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about at this presentation. So, pardon me, I'm gonna have to go through my notes because I was brainstorming on here, but I really think about how important the arts are right now and how important history is right now. It's always important, but really we have a chance to make or break history right now. And how important it is to educate people and share experiences, right? And then as me being a steward of the outdoors, like, what do I have to offer with the gifts that I've been given? And what am I grateful for with these experiences, right? So I weave through those thoughts because I like to spend my time, being an optimist about the outdoors, about creativity, and really hoping to inspire people to participate into these things, right? And really motivate people to do that. So, what do I have at my disposal that I could use to serve others? So when I talk about my role and responsibility in the 5 stages of being a hunter, like this last year, really, 2 years, 4 years, no, it's been since 2019, actually, now that I think about because a lot of it started right before Minority Outdoor Alliance, 2019, where a lot of the work that I've been doing, I've been teaching people, and I've been less occupied with the actual hunt myself. I've been occupied with other people's hunting, whether I'm guiding, and even in guiding, I'm still teaching. And I've always really thought about how my artwork intersects with this space, right? And like, how do I translate my experiences artistically and creatively? And that's kind of what I wanted to dive into, and I also, one of the other questions that I had was, what's missing from history, from the outdoor history, from hunting history, right? Hunting heritage, what's missing? I'm making products, right? For, in sculptures and things like that of, drawings of my dog, like a Big Joker. So when I come up here, that right there, that Big Joker, piece right there. And, I'm making, 3-dimensional, sculptures and ornaments out of them, right? And I'm slowly starting to find my way into this intersection, right? So then I've got this painting, call it the Songbird, but it's a painting of a dead bobwhite quail. From a photo that I took in the field, and it's me translating, the A chord, right, and the key of A, really, and this bobwhite that I've taken, and the reason being I wanted to repeat this image because obviously it's a native bird here in Georgia. I hunt them, and the theme of a dying bobwhite, or bobwhites on the truck tailgate, that's been a popular drawing and painting of mine first and foremost. It was one of the first things that sold at the first American Soul, but also it really resonates with me in terms of like fragility and mortality, right? I relate to I feel like I'm curious about the plight of the bobwhite when we talk about resilience, being hunted, being an integral part of history. Like, I can go down the road with it, and I want to share that, and I do share that. And so I share that with my clients, and so then I kind of think like, all right, what do I have at my disposal, right? I have a master's in art education. I was 2025 Orvis Guide of the Year finalist. I'm an author, I'm a writer, visual artist, songwriter, and a champion of conservation. I've got these things that I can really speak to, and all of those, have their own little offshoots of things, right? And so then I start thinking about my story, and I think about like my hunting journey, and how this whole time alongside my writing, I've been, making drawings and paintings to illustrate those stories in the woods. Along my journey, I would have notebooks and stuff like that where I was either writing down the experiences, or drawing the experiences real time in the field. And I didn't know that was a special thing at the time. I was just genuinely curious about reflecting on my perspective and paradigm in the outdoors, and the success, the failure, the triumph, all of that stuff. And so when I think about what was missing from art history, it's stuff like that. African Americans in the outdoors, our real deal experiences. And why do I feel like that? I went to school at Albany State University. I went to school in Albany, Georgia, in the Albany Museum. I love that museum. It's fantastic. But when I was an undergrad, I was a painting major, fine arts major, painting and concentration. And so I would see all of these fantastic bird, dog, and quail paintings, in the museum, and these images of, white guys in the field and stuff like that. And that was great. That was a reflection of the time, but that wasn't the whole reflection of the time, because, later on, obviously I got mentored by a dog man in South Georgia where the subject of these paintings were made, and I did not see any African-American imagery of our experiences. But you can come to Georgia, and there's so many black people that know bobwhite quail, know the story of it, hunted them, granddaddy hunted them. My wife's granddaddy hunted quail here, hunted rabbits, hunted squirrel, all of that stuff. And those stories creatively were not in paint form, they weren't in drawing, and they did not come from us. And the biggest thing is, I believe in that our voice, African American voices, come from, our music, our writing, and our artwork. I do. We're a very creatively driven culture, as everybody is. But the African American experience is so unique here in American history, and we're such an integral part of outdoor and hunting history, bird dog history, conservation history. And there are minimal stories about our involvement in the outdoor, and until I really came around, they really weren't highlighted like that until I started writing about them, which is a fantastic honor. You know, my biggest thing is they were always relegated to the shadows, but then at the same time, there's definitely no African-American artwork and literature in the outdoors that I have found. And the one early recollection of it, you know, was given to me by Dr. Julia Brock, you know, at University of Alabama. You know, the reminiscences of Charlie Young. So like the information is super limited. And I want to be the one to change that. And I think you guys should be the ones to help change that too. You know, and so what I want to, you know, really get into, you know, is that the importance of sharing our stories and experiences in the outdoors creatively. We talk about we don't see very many African-American people in the outdoors, but let's just think about it. The music, literature, and art are the things that transcend time. You know, and your paintings, artwork, all of those things, they get seen. But yet if there is no fine recollection of our experiences, of course we're not going to know, you know, we operate in the outdoors, that we have, you know, experiences and proficiencies and careers in these spaces. Something that's really important to me, you know, have it noted here recently, if y'all are fans of Solange Knowles. Solange is a fantastic musician and artist, but she's also a poet and an incredible intellectual for our generation. And recently on her website, I think it's like St. Heron or something like that, but she has a library database of free African-American literature that like isn't readily available. Works on an honor system, because I do believe you can still trust people in the world to do what they say they're going to do and return things, right? And you can rent and check out these books, and they are from prominent African-American artists and musicians and poets and all of it, and so on and so forth. And she has made it important to make that information accessible to us when right now there is an effort for the removal of an erasure of our history, to be frank. And I want to encourage more of us to continue doing that, continue being the writers, the artists, the journalists, the musicians for the outdoors, sing our songs and share our stories about our paradigms in this space. And I'm trying to do that with my artwork. You know, I've got a couple of pieces that I'm working on for some clients now. You know, I've integrated my artwork as a you know, as a receiving part of my hunt. Once you get done hunting with me, you get a painting. You know, and it's of that specific day. And of course, I'll even have a video for that. But, you know, right now it's important for us to share our stories first and foremost with us, so we know about our stake in the outdoors. And at the same time, it's just as important for public lands protection. If we don't know who's using public lands, because we do that as well, then we're not going to have any attachment to it. If we don't see ourselves out there, we're not going to go out there. You know, and it's important for those seeking to learn about a larger American story, a more inclusive American story, the story that we actually take ownership in the outdoors too. You know, I live by one thing, and it's art heritage, you know, is the same as your heritage. Your heritage is art heritage, and your heritage is art. How you make your experience, how you cultivate your experience, how you pass that on, how you talk about it, how you share those stories, that is in art in and of itself. That is important. You know, so I can kind of go further back. Neolithic people, they had a compulsion to talk about the world around them on walls, through pigment, to share the observations that they had about the world around them. And we still have that too as contemporary human beings. And I want to see more of that coming from our culture, to share with the rest of the world what we have to say about the North American experience is important, especially as it pertains to the North American model of conservation. So, what I want to do, I want to, in this presentation, and I guess here too, challenge people, man, to go out and, in addition to carrying your outdoor gear, carry a notebook and a pencil or pen. And in the time that you spend following a dog, hound dog, bird dog, whatever you got, or the time that you spend fishing, throwing a rod out, throwing your fly out there, a lure, whatever, in the time that you guys spend, in a tree stand, in a deer stand, whatever you do, guys, and the time that you spend hiking, not even consumptive, just enjoying the outdoors, take a moment to stop and pull that pencil and notebook out and write about the moment, write about what's going on right then and there. Write about, draw it out, right? I've got notebooks where, I was drawing these experiences. Do I have any near me, actually? I don't, but, one thing that I didn't realize is I was drawing my experiences alongside my writing, and over time I was able to include both of those into published articles that I've had, right? And that's another way to share your artwork in another format. From a kids in art school, think about that. How do you share your work in different formats and still get paid? So yeah, man, I want to challenge everybody, like, in this, experiment that we call the North American model of conservation. Like, we as Black and brown people have an opportunity to share our stories and actually contribute to the larger history of conservation and outdoor experiences, but also to the larger story of art history, because those things also overlap as well. So that's it, man. I just, lastly, man, go check out our coffee, Grassroots Coffee Roasters, American Soil, American Soul. We have a sporting blend. That is our collaborative bean. It is fantastic. That's what I'm drinking on right now, actually. Support, guys. It's artists for conservation. Support. You got to tap the screen. Boom. Support that, man. If you are an artist, you contribute to conservation as well. Thank y'all for being with me, man. Thank y'all for tuning in. October 8th through the 11th, come to the Norton and Hodges store in Charleston, South Carolina, to see this work and some more stuff that I got in the studio. Come check out the new sculptural pieces that we've got. Just come check out the whole thing, man. Anywho, that's another episode. Thank y'all for joining me, and subscribe to our newsletter, man. Go to AmericanSoil, AmericanSoil.com. Go to SportingLifeNotebook.com. We've got it all.